Hey Tiana, how you doing? I've got your work up here. That front page is a little bland. I'm looking for ideas to fit within my subject matter. My Nobel Prize was Jody Williams. She helped prevent diesel land popular. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm reading out loud. I went through this once, and I was just looking to see if I missed any questions. But there are no questions here, so we can jump right over to the layout. So the problem that I'm seeing with the layout is this, is that right now, being a class in typography, we're really trying to do all of our communication via expressive typography, right? As opposed to using illustration. So there's a number of techniques that were covered in the class as well as in the reading, the required reading from the textbook that cover different ways to establish expressive typography. And I'm going to show you that list, and then you can go ahead and go back into class and start taking a look and in the textbook to take a look at to see how some of these techniques are executed. Basically, what we want to do is we want to take the messaging based on this sign right here, and we want to somehow incorporate it into the typography. So let me show you an example, and I'm going to go to this announcement. Now, this final project explained with examples deconstructed is a really excellent resource for you. Specifically come down here. This video right is about 10 minutes long, but I go through every one of these examples. I deconstruct them and describe why they are so effective. In this case, I just want to use this as an example. So over here, this Toni Morrison. So right now, this fist with the chains is sending a message to the viewer, okay? The fist signifies power, right? And the chains signify oppression. So we know, we've already, just looking at the front of the poster, we have some information on the subject matter. So Toni Morrison is the subject's name. We know that she is stood for power, right? We know that somehow or other she was oppressed, right? So then we get to the back and we find out now, and we take that whole kind of motif, that whole concept, and we move it over into the timeline, which is great continuation. Now, the thing I'm trying to get at is let's say we take this illustration right here. Now, which is considered typographic because this would be considered visual substitution, right? We know that from our class lectures and our required reading from the textbook. So this becomes typographic instead of illustrative. Now, if we were to take this fist and place it over here, now things change. The message making is based on illustration and not typography. So all of these techniques that we studied in class, and I'm just going to jump back over to your work, and I'm going to show you the list. And this is the list: simultaneity, visual transformation, visual substitution, visual exaggeration, visual correspondence. You can see examples of each of those on page 115 to 120. And then from our class lectures, we have evocative type design, connotative, denotative meaning, implied, directional lines, mimicry and correspondence, juxtaposition of type and image, touching or overlapping, proximity, conceptual relationships, objective type relationships, and visual substitution. There's another important one. I'm highlighting the things that I think are really, really important. Okay. Now, if you want to screenshot this and hang on to it, please go right ahead. But this is what I want you to research. So the idea here, let's say we use visual substitution. Okay. The idea here is to set the message via typography. So right now we have this kind of warning, danger minds. Okay, is there somehow we can express minds, an exploding mine, somehow here in the type? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, maybe this could be a line that's a mine that's exploding. I don't know. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying, maybe maybe you could take one of these L's and tilt to the side, act as that foot like a foot, and place a mine under it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, these are things that you want to consider. You want to send your message via typography. So somehow we need to incorporate the message of the minds, the dangerous minds, into the typography. Hope that makes sense. If not, let me know, but that's critically important. There are other techniques as well that are covered in this example and this example as well. So be sure to watch this video in its entirety. You might get some ideas therein. Okay, so let's talk about type and color. The color I think is really super, super bland. We're talking about explosive landmines. Okay, now I would use the hottest colors I could. I would use reds and oranges. right? We're talking about exploding landmines. Gray is such a neutral, tame color that just doesn't seem to do justice to the fact that she is standing for um, removing, old dangerous landmines, right? So it's a hot topic. I think it should use a hot color palette, right? Okay, let's talk about typography. The Jody is kerned quite nicely. I think that Y can just be moved in just a little bit to accommodate for that slanted letter form right there. And I'm talking about a click or two. That's it. It seems like Jody has a little bit more thought than Williams. Right now, I think this is a little bit too wide. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I have that backwards. I think Williams has more thought to it, regarding the rules of kerning than Jody. So check your rules and watch your kerning. This is a large typeface, so kerning is of the utmost importance. The other thing I want to say is I love the type combination. I really do. I love the serif, the classic serif with the modern sans serif. I think it's wonderful. But in terms of alignment, this is a little wonky right here. I mean, you're all close to alignment. This is not center aligned, but this looks like it. But the subhead looks like it's centered on the headline, but the headline isn't centered into composition. My recommendation is to left align the subhead with the headline, okay? And the other thing is your word spacing. Right now, this Williams is so far from Jody, they appear to be unrelated. Okay, that's covered in our proximity lectures. All right, so those are my recommendations. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. But yeah, it's going to take a minute. I mean, sit down and really, really think this out. Do your research, do your visual research. It'll come to you, I'm sure. But at this point, right now, I would definitely like to see those changes reflected in your final submission coming up on Sunday. If you want to run something by me, I'm going to be out of the studio most of tomorrow, so I might not see it. But if you want to submit something today, I should be able to get to it later on. If not, I can take a look at it Sunday morning. That doesn't give you much time to make any changes, but that's kind of where we're at. So I would like to see you really, really consider my comments here and think about how you can incorporate these elements into your layout. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Tiana.